Hello everyone, thanks for stopping by. This is Cheap Comic Collector, and it is another beautiful day here in Central Florida. Hot though. I just got done mowing the lawn and I am beat. That sun is just brutal. This is a crane that I just bought for my business. I'm in the process of repairing it. It's an old crane, but I got it for like $150. It wasn't working. I got it working. I painted it, and now I'm in the process of painting it. And then I have to change the claw out. I'm going to use it for those Pokemon balls capsules that I showed you in an earlier video. But you're here for comics, so this is Cheap Comic Collector number, let's see, 56, I think. And we just had the live stream last night. But I'm recording this earlier, so I don't really know what happened. It should have been fun. Hopefully it was. And anyway, we're going to be looking at Don Winslow today. If you don't know who Don Winslow is, that's perfectly normal. It's an old comic strip character. He was originally created by Lieutenant Commander Frank Victor Martinek. He first appeared in some novels. And then I guess the Navy was looking for a way to promote interest in children and younger adults to join the Navy from the Midwest. And they decided the best way to do that was to create a comic strip. So that's what they did. Frank Martinek, he wrote the comic strip. Most of the art was drawn by Lieutenant Leon Biroff. I think I'm saying that right. And the comic strip started in 1934 and lasted until 1955. It was adapted to radio in 1937 and 1939. Two movie serials were produced: Don Winslow of the Navy in 1942 and Don Winslow of the Coast Guard in 1943. And in comic books, it first appeared as strip reprints from Merwell Publications in 1937. And now that's before Superman, guys. In 1938, Dell Comics began reprinting the strip in Crackerjack Funnies and then Popular Comics. And I think they also had a couple of 4 issues devoted to strip reprints. And then in 1943, Fawcett Comics picked up the rights, and they started publishing a series of comic books with original stories, and that's what these 3 are that I have. And that lasted until 1948. It resumed publication in 1953, and then Charlton picked it up in 1955, continuing the series for 4 more issues, and it lasted until I think issue number 73, and that was pretty much the end of Don Winslow in comics. So we're going to take a look at these. These are from Fawcett's. These are actually my first Fawcett comics. I got these before I started the channel, just maybe a few weeks before I started the channel. I did pay up for them a little bit. I paid $2 a copy. I wanted them because they were so old. And I wasn't really expecting to like them nearly as much as I did. These are great. The stories are fantastic. The art is good. This one is issue number 35 from 1946. And we don't know who wrote or drew these. The comic book database just doesn't have a listing for whoever did these. It's possible that the comic strip creator is also the guy who wrote the comic books. The copyright, I think I did look up the copyright, and it is his name on the copyright. Oh no, never mind. It says copyright Fawcett Publications, so I'm mistaken about that. But anyway, these were really good stories. I read them, a few months ago, so I don't really remember exactly what they were about, but the art's really good. The storylines were entertaining and kept me entertained. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were going to be strip reprints and just kind of dull and plodding on and on and on. And they weren't. They were very entertaining stories. A lot of fun. Got a Captain Marvel ad down there. Adventures of RC and Quickie. That's an old advertising strip for RC Cola when it was called Royal Crown. While William Bill Elliott says, "Shake, amigo, it sure tastes best." So, not sure what that means. Had a crossword puzzle. And this is another ad strip for Wheaties, focusing on a baseball player. And we'll go into another Don Winslow story. And like I said, the art is really well done. The storylines are fantastic. Here we got Pepsi Pete. I saw somebody recently on a Facebook group that I belong to posted a sign that advertising they sign of Pepsi Pete that and kind of apologized a little bit because it didn't have anything to do with comics. Well, Pepsi Pete appeared in a lot of old comic strips as advertising for Pepsi, and so he had nothing to apologize for. But the issues are a lot of fun. Like I said, great stories, great artwork, and as you can see, even the ads are entertaining. There's a text story about over the jet fleet. Got a humor story of Bell Bottom Bill working on a ship. Jetsam Joe. And Eagle Beak Spudder, something like that. But anyway, these were fun. I'm really glad I got these. I did have to do some archival tape on the spines because they were a couple of them were in such bad shape that I did have to do that a little bit just to preserve them so they wouldn't fall apart while I was reading them. And then we have issue number 52. This one is from 1947. And the Navy hero encounters the ghost of the fishing ships. And, that's not a Mark Jewelers ad. But it is a jewelry ad, which is kind of interesting. Comic books back then, they weren't really, I know nowadays we all think of comic books as kids stuff, especially, and even older ones, as, and you got the whole seduction of the innocent thing where they were saying that comics were corrupting the youth and all that, and it's comics were never meant to be a kid's medium. They just weren't. I mean, they were, but they weren't meant for everybody, and there's certainly plenty of evidence that people in the military enjoyed them, just all kinds of stuff. Who's this guy? He's got some Joe's got a bigger story in this issue, and he's got some definitely racial stereotypes here. That's the period of what it was. We got some whippersnapper one-liners. Another text story. You know what? I don't remember reading this one. I may have only read the first issue. I'm gonna have to go back and read them because the first one was really good. I probably fell asleep. I do that a lot. I'll start reading something and fall asleep. Something called Bob Scout, Boy Scout Bob. And yeah, that second one's pretty rough. I might have to do some taping on the corners of this one too. And then number 61, we've got from 1948. Ooh, nice white pages on this one for an old book. This is 1948. That's 19 years before I was born. So Don Winslow of the Navy. Looks like he gets marooned. And one of the things that I've noticed, we got Shipwreck Jones and Seaweed Sam. But one of the things I've noticed going through older books from other publishers that I'm not familiar with, Fawcett. I just recently got in an issue from St. John and Publishing and some other publisher that I had never seen before. Quality. I got a Quality issue in, which we'll be looking at, in a few episodes, in a box of books that I got. But they weren't very good at self-promotion. These companies that folded, out of these three, we saw like one little ad for Captain Marvel. There's no self-promotion for the line of comics that they're producing. There's no, there's no checklist. There's no, Dell wasn't always the greatest at that either, but they at least would have sometimes tell you, their line of books. But all these Golden Age companies that folded, from what I've seen, the issues that I've found, they just weren't very good at self-promotion. They had very little advertisements in them for their line of books to promote the rest of their line. And I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the reasons so many of them folded. I know we as comic book historians, we always kind of blame the Comics Code and all of that. But the ones that survived, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Archie Comics, Harvey Comics, they were all really good at promoting the rest of their comic books in their own comics. And these guys just didn't seem to do that. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. Tomorrow we'll be looking at some auction wins, so tune in for that. Hope to see you there. And thanks for watching.